Let us now consider some of the many applications Google makes available to us and our role in training its algorithm. Again, keep in mind that my intention is to invite self-reflection. This in turn will help us understand better the future of digital marketing. Let's start with services like Blogger. Google tracks, predicts and learns people's personal characteristics and behavior from their behavior on the websites. Its main competitor, Facebook, has access to lots more personal data such as where we live, work, play, how many friends we have, what we do in our spare time, and so forth. Of course, Google also wants a piece of the pie, hence the launch of services like Google+, which was later discontinued, Blogger and Groups. Another example is Chromebook. The dilemma was, should Google build Google TVs just the way they now do with Google Pixel phones? And can Google compete with established players like JVC, Samsung and others? Probably not. Google is a data company, so if there is another way to get its hands on all that data, just think about it. What you watch, when you watch, for how long you watch, how often you stop watching, and so forth. This is a lot of data points and signals to feed into its algorithms. So what were Google's options? Start building TVs to compete with Samsung, or maybe another business model to compete with Netflix or Apple TV? Any of these options would distract them from their core business. In a competitive industry where Google would struggle against Samsung, Panasonic, Netflix, Now TV, Amazon Movies and other major players. So the solution was Chromecast. The Next Tech magazine ran an article called Google Tips and Tricks and described Chromecast as, I quote, an incredibly cheap device which can completely change the way you watch online content. Apps like YouTube, iPlayer or Play Movies are supported and the process is as simple as tapping one icon. Of course, many other partners include Now TV, ITV, Channel 4, Prime Video, Disney Plus and yes, even Netflix. The same magazine goes further, explaining that Chromecast is Google's answer to Apple TV. Again, this is a misconception, we already discussed it. Sure, Google is competing with Apple, but the prize is the rich amount of data rather than the TV business itself. So Chromecast now provides Google with further data insight into your behavior. Which icons we click on, what shows and movies we stream, what channels we prefer, how long we watch for, demographic informations, and probably much more. To leverage the trend of mobile overtaking desktop use, Chromecast also integrates with Android and Apple phone or tablets. Of course, you could also argue that Chromecast is somehow redundant to collecting data for Google. After all, most new TVs are smart and come with inbuilt voice capabilities, whether Google Assistant, Amazon Alexa or others. So yes, Google tries hard to make it as easy and cheap as possible for us to feed its algorithms. Look, I cannot stress enough that you understand this. Data companies have no intention of competing in selling TVs, smart home appliances and others. They may of course look at the number of TVs they sell and similar metrics, but their North Star metric is the number of TVs sold, not revenue. Specifically, the more TVs and smart appliances they bring into your house, the more data they generate. You see, most people focus on the impact of AI and throw big ideas and words regarding the impact of AI in the future. Generative AI became a buzzword for everything and anything, like it came from some sort of mystical magic spell. But guys, think of AI as a simple application built on top of big data. It is not AI per se that is changing the world. It is the quality of the data that is being thrown into this algorithm. The best example is the almighty generative AI. We will be speaking more about it in the section on Gen AI. But for the time being, the problem with generative AI is that it's trained on huge amounts of data from the internet. Good data, bad data, really crap data. And when you put crap in, you get crap out. It's simple. To sum this up, the world is being changed by the amount of data, or big data, and the quality of that data. Or to make it even easier to understand, think about AI as a car built on top of big data engines. In brief, Bard, ChatGPT and others are simple applications built on top of large amounts of data. Their current limitations come from the fact that the data they are built on is, well, the internet. This data is not curated and as such the output of ChatGPT, Bard and other is open to many limitations, which we will discuss in the section on generative AI. To conclude, when you think of all the applications from Google, always remember that while they are provided for free, they provide Google with an unmatched data advantage against competitors like Microsoft, Amazon and others. Let's discuss another example, Gmail. Statistics by TechJury shows that over 1.8 billion people were using Gmail as of 2022. But did you know that Google is collecting data from your Gmail account and analyzing it? Of course, they argue that they do so to improve your experience, but by now, I hope we understand how much more Google might do with all that data. Waze is another example. It was acquired by Google in 2013 for over $1 billion, and at its core, it offers traffic information and recommendations to users based on information collected from other Waze users. In brief, you feed data such as location or how fast you are moving into Waze's algorithm. Again, this is a great opportunity for Google to collect information on your daily behavior. And of course, there is Google Pixel phone. Look, mobile is big. Alec Ross, in his book Industries of the Future, estimates that of the total world population of over 7 billion people, 6 billion have mobile phones. That is, 6 out of 7 people have mobile phones. In fact, mobile is so big that a few years back Google moved its entire search index to mobile. And nowadays, a website that is not mobile friendly will find it almost impossible to rank on page 1 in Google. So, is Google trying to enter the mobile business with its Google Pixel? Well, by now you know that Google's decision to move into the mobile market was driven by the massive volume of data generated via mobile. In fact, Bernard Marr, in his book Big Data, showed that a similar approach was taken by Microsoft. Basically, Microsoft tried to get into the mobile business by acquiring Nokia. After failing to win a significant market share in the mobile market, Microsoft developed Windows 10 as a common platform serving desktop, tablet, and phone. Of course, Windows 10 provides Microsoft with data about its users, their online activities, and their behaviors as users. Now, back to Google. Let's consider some of the data insights Pixel might be collecting about us. Some things that come to mind include eye tracking data, what we click on, when we click, our browsing history, applications we download, location, games we play, and so on. A more specific example provided by Bernard Marr is that of a mobile company called Sprint, which was using at the time data from over 55 million mobile devices to customize the ads served to mobile users. In addition to the actual mobile phone, the company was using data about the usage of the actual device. This included the text messages you send, phone calls, apps usage, emails, and so forth. This option was available on an opt-in only basis. However, Jason Delker, their CTO at the time, acknowledged that most other mobile companies included everyone automatically. Of course, this changed with GDPR regulations, which state that people need to specifically tick the opt-in box, preventing titles like pre-filled tick boxes, for example. Okay, next up, Google Wallet. I quote from the same Next Tech magazine, Google Tips and Tricks article. Set up Google Wallet in order to pay for purchases. It has never been easier to shop online, and Google is making strides to ensure that it gets easier by the minute. Yes, indeed. Google is making it as easy as possible for itself to learn about your purchasing behavior and the size of the price. Well, Google could now cluster you in groups based on the information on your earnings, how you spend your money, where you spend it, variations of income, and more. But how about books? Well, Bernard Marr to the rescue again. Marr explains that a wealth of data is being generated about what we read, how long we read for, whether we skip pages, what pages we annotate, which ones we highlight, and any other details we can think of. That's kind of a big deal, I would say. Now, my favorite example is the one of APIs. Google, Amazon, eBay, and Facebook openly encourage all sorts of communities to interact with their platforms. Developers, marketers, and vendors are quick to give up control of their data in return for access to the API functionality developed by these companies. Consider, for example, some stats provided by Statista, which show that as of 2022, there were 2.68 million applications developed and available in the Google Play Store. Of course, Google learns quite a bit about how people use this application. One example of what they learn is something we will be talking about later. This refers to information captured and analyzed from the use of countless automation tools, leveraging APIs from Google, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and others. There are many tools available out there: white hat, gray hat, black hat, you name it. And some of the stuff that these tools enable marketers to do include post content automatically, grow a follower base using stuff like follow no follow, automatically like posts, invite friends, join groups, and so on. We introduced some of these tools in our course on tools. However, we don't often consider that the more we use these tools, the more they train social media, Google, and other algorithms to make these very tools redundant. Let's now talk about Nest. Google acquired Nest in 2013 in what was presented by the press as an attempt to create an operating system for the home. Think Windows 10, but for the home. In fact, a study by TechJury showed that in 2022, Google Home was expected to capture the largest IoT devices market share at 48%. So, whatever the reason for the acquisition, one thing is clear. Google now has access to a huge amount of data related to your temperature preferences throughout the day, when you arrive or leave home, and your overall habits. And of course, Google once again makes it as easy as possible for you to provide this data. For example, Nest integrates with third-party IoT devices like washing machines, smart wall plugs, fitness trackers, smartwatches, and many, many more. Just think about the amount of data and signals fed into Google's algorithm. There are so many other Google applications and products. Google Calendar, for example, provides Google with access to data on your habits, schedule, acquaintances, and much more. Google Maps, at the very minimum, Google knows where you are, when you are there, and how often you are in that place. YouTube provides Google with access to data on what you watch, how often you watch, how long you watch, and so on. Google Docs, well, we know that the easiest type of digital data to analyze is text. And of course, let's not even get into Google Search. Look, at this time, Google's products page lists 120 items, including Google Search, Pixel, Google Assistant, Google Fit, Google Lens, Google Docs, Google Scholar, and many, many more. In reality, this number grows all the time. The truth is that we could go on and on about the ways that Google collects data and feeds it into its algorithm. However, an article by Ava sums this conversation by asking a very simple question. Is Google spying on me? Their conclusion is, I quote, "The simple answer is yes. Google collects data about how you use its devices, apps, and services. This ranges from your browsing behavior, Gmail and YouTube activity, location history, Google searches, online purchases, and more. Basically, anything that's connected to Google is likely used to collect data on your activity and preferences." The same article goes on to argue, I quote, "Knowing that Google is tracking you is one thing, but how much data does Google collect? It's probably more than you realize. The kind of data Google collects includes the language or languages you speak, the things you buy and your spending budget, the places you look up in Google Maps and where you've been, your favorite shops, especially if you link your rewards cards to Google Pay, everything that goes on into your inbox, all your emails, attachments, and even the stuff you mark as spam or delete. Everything you save in your Google Drive, work documents, purchase receipts, photos, videos, and so on. Your YouTube viewing habits, including everything you've ever watched, any comments you've ever left, and anything you've ever searched for. What your upcoming schedule looks like, and everything you've done that was in your Google Calendar. The apps you open if you're using Android, and when you open them. Of course, do keep in mind that all this changes all the time as well, driven not by the platforms, but mainly by regulators and GDPR regulations. If you are looking for an even more granular understanding of what data Google collects, always check their most recent data privacy document. Okay, I trust that this conversation helps you understand better why Google is best placed to adapt to the shift from the third-party cookie to the first-party data. This should also really make you question the hugely popular myth that Google's algorithms consider only around 200 ranking signals when ranking your website. And you should also reflect on the aggressive stand that Google will take towards making you use all their applications under your own digital profile. I refer to your Google account, of course. Let me conclude this with an ad I heard on Spotify during my morning run. In this ad, Google praises the security features of the Chrome app and encourages people to download it. Then, the ad goes on to emphasize that full functionality is available when you are logged in into your Google account. Did you get it? Log in into your Google account so we can access your data. Otherwise, you'll get less functionality. That's quite neat, right? Oh, and one more thing. You do realize that Gen AI models like ChatGPT clearly state in their privacy policies that anything you type into its prompt is being used in training its algorithms, right? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next session.